Hello, Claire.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. The
Good.
sun's shining, so that's a plus.
Well, it is. Well, it's not too bad. It's not too shabby overseeing today. I'm super excited, Claire, to talk to you because you are a virtual assistant and other things. And I'm really interested to know how it all works because I've only just started outsourcing things. I found it a real control problem, shall I say. But it's going to be interesting about it all. But before we get into some quite kind of emotional topics as well, based on your request to be on the show, tell us all what you do, about you and your business.
Okay. So obviously I'm Claire Zorlutuna, so I'm the one with the dodgy surname.
Tell us about the surname because I was like, right, how do
it's well, I married into it and I divorced it 12 years ago. But I decided to keep my surname obviously for the kids. So it's Turkish, my surname.
Right.
So my ex-partner is still alive. Is half Turkish.
Okay.
So that's where that comes from. I'm a single mum. I've been a single mum for 12 years now to 3 children. So I've got Harvey, who's 16, nearly 17.
Right.
I've got a daughter who's 14 and another daughter who's 12.
Oh wow.
And
hormones must be
horrendous. Don't even go there. I've just picked one of them up actually from a sleepover and she just hasn't spoken to us the whole way home.
You just get grunts now, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And I've also got 2 doggies, 2 little dogs as well. So I've got a little sausage dog and a cockapoo who's a puppy. So my house is a little bit like a madhouse really on a daily basis. As far as well about me, I suppose, and what I do and how I came about it was I have been involved in business development and various sales roles since I was about 23. 47, nearly 48, so that's a lot of time in the industry. So I spent time as a medical rep. One of my first jobs was selling finance to double glazing companies, believe it or not. And I was given the keys to a car and an A to Z, if you remember them, before we had sat navs.
Yeah.
And I was just told to go out there and get business. So that was like a really good grounding for kind of developing other roles that I became involved in, really, because I just was knocking on doors and talking to big burly blokes from double glazing companies, you know. So I enjoyed that part of my life. But if we rewind a little bit, so I became a single mum in 2010 for the second time. So I've been married twice. And my ex-husband actually moved abroad. Right. So in terms of physical support, that obviously wasn't there. You know, I suppose that there's no such word as normal, is there really, in families?
No, definitely not.
But as far as the normal sort of side of things go, when parents do split up with, dropping the kids off at the weekend and you get, a little bit of time to yourself, there was none of that. So it was full on 24 hours a day. I had a 7-month-old, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old at the time. Now I had this big career as a medical rep for a big pharmaceutical company, and I had a really good salary. And we decided when we were together that I was going to leave my job and I was going to be a full-time mum, and that was the way forward, because after you'd paid for nursery fees, it's just pointless going to work, I suppose. It's absolutely pointless. So obviously he left and I was left in a kind of void, I suppose, of, well, I'm here by myself with no support, but I really wanted to get back into the industry that I came from because I was so ambitious. And I did try a couple of jobs back in the pharmaceutical industry, but it just always got back to the same thing of dropping the kids off at nursery 8 o'clock in the morning. There was a couple of times I was the last mum to pick my little one up, and it was 8 o'clock at night, and I was stood there outside, and I thought, I can't do that. It was heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. But as the years went by, I seem to have just spent years trying to find a job that I could mix being a mum, picking them up from nursery, doing this, that, and the other. And everyone will know this who's been in a similar position. You can't do it. You literally can't do it. And it doesn't matter what anyone says. It's impossible. And the amount of jobs that I applied for and took on, where they started off saying, we're very family orientated, you know, if you want to take time off for your kids, that's fine. But when it actually comes to it, it doesn't work. Yeah, it really doesn't work. And as I've spent a long 10 years in and out of different jobs trying to find that balance, trying to find the income. I mean, you laugh when you hear half the things I did. It was just hilarious. I mean, I was I worked with one of the lounge lasses, Lisa, actually, and I was did baby yoga.
Oh, which Lisa? Lisa Cryer?
So, Lisa Cryer. Yeah. Me and Lisa worked together for a few years. So I helped Lisa. So yeah, trained to be a baby. That was brilliant. Mm-hmm. Then what else did I do? I trained to be a nursery nurse. I mean, I'm just laughing because I look back and I'm like, me and kids. Why did I do it? I honestly don't know. The reason I did it was because it fitted in around the school hours.
Well, this is it.
That's the only reason I did it. And it wasn't because I had this massive desire to work with preschoolers at all. I love kids. So yeah, I did a qualification. I got qualified. I actually was taken on as an apprentice on an apprentice salary, believe it or not, at the age of 40 to do that, which was hilarious when I look back and I just think, did I do that? I can't believe I did that. Like, so kind of coming up to, like, I'm just giving you a background as to it's great. Why I'm doing what I'm doing now, really. So anyways, fast forward a couple of weird jobs. Yeah, we're not going to them. My last sort of physical role in paid employment was as a business developer.
Wait there. You can't just say this weird job, right?
Right. I'll skip back then because you'll probably find this hilarious. But I started work as a receptionist for how do I word this right? Like you know, fancy apartments for old retired people. So it's not like, I wouldn't call it a care home. It's more like, it's more they purchase the home. Yeah, but they purchase the home, which are not cheap, and you know that they've got care if they need it and everything else. So anyway, I went to work there as a receptionist, and it was the funniest job I've ever had in my life. Honestly, just I found a newfound respect for older people. Honestly, I really did. I just got on with them like a house on fire.
No filter.
I just love them. Absolutely. The stories I heard were just some shockers. I just couldn't get over. So yeah, again, that worked with school hours, and I was actually quite happy doing that, you know. But then got offered a job back in sales development and obviously the more money thing comes into it and entices you a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
New startup company. I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. It was only a few days a week, 3 days a week, I think it was. And actually, I was quite successful with that, and brought in some big contracts. Now, without going into too much detail, because I can't really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that was one of those companies where you go and they're small, and they were very family orientated and very understanding of your circumstances, you know. As long as you did the work, great.
Yeah.
Now, what happened was the dynamics of that company changed massively, where they kind of grew too fast, too quickly, which can happen sometimes, and they're kind of like, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And everything's all up in the air, but they're trying to bring strategic things into place and operational policies and all that. And this person came to work in the company, actually just turned up one day and sat behind the desk behind me and said, "I'm now your manager." And I was like, what? Really? So no introductions or anything like that. It was actually a family member that had come in. And the dynamics of that job changed massively, whereby the flexibility I had before wasn't there. I had to account for every move. There was no trust. I am very much one of those people that will go away and do a job, and I hate to be told what to do. I can't bear it. I literally can't stand it, because that has the opposite effect. It just makes us not want to do what I'm supposed to be doing. And what actually happened was, there was a time, and this is just before the pandemic, right? So this a couple of months before the pandemic started, where you know what it's like when you've got a few kids, they'll pick up an illness, then everyone gets it. It goes around the whole family. And they'd all been ill with something, some virus. And my youngest one was quite poorly this one day, and she had a really high temperature. And I remember ringing in saying, "Look, I can't come in. I'll work from home. You know, I've got to be here for my daughter." And it was, "No, you're not. You're coming into work." So I had to drive 15 miles and take her to my parents' house, and then drive to my workplace, to my office. And I walked in, and not one person spoke to me. Nobody lifted their head up from the desk, nothing. It was a right atmosphere. And I just thought then, do you know what? This is not going to work. This is not going to work. So I went home that night, and it was like, I'm the type of person, when I get something in my head, I just do it, and I don't really think about it, and I worry about how I'm going to do it like later, not at the actual time. But I went home and I thought, what can I do where I don't actually have to go to an office and be, you know, have somebody tell us what to do, and when I can take time off for my children and all that. And I'd always been really I'd always loved social media. I'd always loved helping businesses grow and whatever, because coming from a sales background, I suppose that was my what's the word I'm looking for? It was a bit of my forte, I suppose. And I thought, I've always been asked to help companies with the social media. I've always been asked to help them with this, that, and the other. Why don't I just try and do that? Just freelance, basically. So I sat up all night, and when I look back now, I just think, what on earth were you on? I did. I just was like, right, I'm doing it. I thought of a name straight away. This is the third name I'm on, I think now. Thought of a name, went on Wix, built a quick website. Never built a website in my life. I was up till 2 o'clock in the morning doing it, finished it. The next day, it's funny, because I believe a lot in what you put out comes back to you like in bounds. And I must have said to the universe, like, this is what I'm going to be doing now. The next day, a friend that I know had put a post on her Facebook saying, "I need some help with my business." And I was like, "Hello, I'm here. I can help you." Went to meet her, and she gave me literally like 20 hours work a week. Wow. Straight away. And it was for a client that she was working with, who had become quite big, and she couldn't help them just on her own anymore. So, which is why she brought me in. Now, this role was, I literally had no experience in any of it, right? It was a lot of e-commerce. so supporting this company with the web chat, so the live chat, any messages that came through. Shopify, never been on Shopify in my life, didn't know anything about it. I was like, yeah, no problem, I can do it.
That's awesome.
I can learn it all. Bearing in mind, this is a worldwide company, so they had clients and customers from all over the world. So you're talking to people in Japan, America, all over the place.
What do you think made her like kind of trust your credibility, or
because she'd it's funny because we still don't know to this day how we actually became Facebook friends. This is the strange thing, you know, how you connect with people and then you're not sure how you know them. And we kind of hit it off. We've got very similar personalities, and she'd said that she'd love the way that I kind of what's the word I'm looking for, brought myself, that's not what I'm looking for, Kylie. You know, when someone looks at your Facebook page, for example, and they kind of like get a feeling for what you're all about, from just your profile. And I just literally just started working, and I mean, I just learned everything from scratch, literally. You know, when people say they wing it, this was actually like winging it, I suppose. But I thought, well,
that's what makes it authentic, right? Because it's the same with social media. I knew nothing about social media, but it takes time and effort. And because you're a driven nutter like me, you've gone and done everything you can because of a situation you were put in. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what drives it, isn't it?
It is. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, it is. And they became my first sort of client, if you like. And it went down the different route to what I thought. I thought I was going to be doing social media, but it turned out that it was more e-commerce support.
Right.
Now I learn a lot about different platforms, you know, the live chat element and background things that go on with the back end of Shopify, everything else. And I thought, right. But in amongst all this, we went into lockdown, didn't we? So literally 4 weeks after I left my job, we were in
what you said, 4 weeks. I was like,
pandemic.
I know.
I was like, right. But the good thing is everyone went online, didn't they? Which there you go. So I kind of felt quite safe with this company because they were what I would say were my bread and butter, as in you knew your bills were paid every month, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't really I did have a lot of other clients sort of running in the background, smaller clients. But then what happened was, I would say the summer of the first lockdown, I started, obviously people were kind of asking us if I could do this, that and the other. And when I look back now, this was a big mistake because I actually said yes to everybody. And it was through fear of not knowing, you know, whether I was going to have clients or not. And I suppose everybody was in the same boat at that time, but it came from a place of fear of, if I don't say yes, am I actually going to have some money next month?
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to pay my bills?
Yeah.
This, that and the other. And what happened was I was working so hard. I mean, when I look back now, I don't even know how I got through it because I was getting up at stupid o'clock because the kids were at home, weren't they? So it was a case of how do I run this business while the kids are like running feral around the house? That's the only way to describe it, isn't it?
Well, it was I just don't know how half of the people got through it. I mean, I think we were quite headstrong, so like we managed to get through it, but honestly it broke my heart. And this is where my kind of business came from, isn't it? It's like it broke my heart thinking about these people on their own.
Yeah.
It was just like, well, it was a cracker's time, wasn't it?
It was mental, absolutely mental when you look back. And I literally drove myself into the ground. There was times I was up at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning working, you know, and it didn't feel wrong at the time. It just felt like, I don't know, it was just something that I felt I had to do.
Do you think it was because it was a new business move, and that I talk to a lot of lasses who say yes to everything in the first couple of years. Do you think it's because you thought, I should be doing this?
Yeah, it was a lot of it was I need the experience in doing this, so I'll do it. And the other thing was I'll do it so I can see if I can do it. And the other was I need the money, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be paid next month.
Yeah.
You know, because I didn't get any help from the government. So there was a lot of people who were in that situation, you know, where you were newly self-employed. So you weren't, I knew it was just me that was going to be able to do it. And as time went on, I thought there's got to be other companies in the same position who need that support, you know, the e-commerce support. So they're quite a small company, but they just don't have the time to answer all the live chats and everything else. And I really enjoyed it, to be honest. And I think you've got to be a certain type of person to deal with customers.
Yeah.
You really do. You've got to have the patience of a saint.
Yeah.
And you know, I got another website built, and this is where e-coms management came from. And I thought I'll go down that route. What happened was that just never took off for one reason or the other. The demand just wasn't there for that element, I suppose, of that service. So I started offering purely social media packages. And sort of fast forward to like September last year, that client that I started with, I then ended with because they got massive. And what happened was they've ended up outsourcing abroad, which actually works out really well for them, because then they've got people that can cover all the different time zones and everything else. So I kind of like outgrew them in a way. And I was kind of like, God, I don't know what to do. I don't know what services to offer. I don't know, you know, when you've got experience in different things, it's quite hard to niche down and stick to it, I suppose.
Yeah.
And now what's happened is kind of a year from building my new website, it actually bears absolutely no relevance whatsoever now to what I'm actually doing.
I have to say, when I went on your Facebook and that, I went straight onto your website and I went, I was like, oh, does she do this? I thought, right, okay.
That's what